Hola, buenas tardes. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Qué tal tu día? What's up, future fluent Spanish speakers? Sean with Spanish 55 here, and in today's video, I'm giving you 4 very basic beginner greetings, and I just used every one of them in that intro. Now, depending on the time of day you're watching this video, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, it might not be Buenas Tardes every time like I just said, but more on that in a minute. I'm filming in the afternoon, so I said Buenas Tardes. But anyway, these 4 very basic greetings are great if you're a beginner learning Spanish. They can be used in almost all situations, formal, informal, with friends, in work-related situations, whatever it may be. Fellas, if you meet a beautiful señorita, these are great greetings to use. Same thing for ladies. If you meet a Latin lover, use these greetings. Don't try to get fancy. These 4 greetings will work great almost anytime, anywhere. So now let's go over each one of these 4 basic greetings, what it means in English, and how and when to use it. The first one is hola. It just means hello or hi, and it's the same way we use it in English. You can use it in any situation, formal, informal. You can also say the name of the person or whoever the person is that you're talking to afterwards. Hola Miguel, hola Andrea, hola mamá, hola papá, hola amigo, amiga, whatever. The second one, well, in the form that I used it anyway, was Buenas Tardes. Buenas Tardes. This means good afternoon. You can also say Buenos Días, which means good morning, or Buenas Noches, which means good evening. Now let's break it down here a little bit. So why in Spanish do we say Buenos Días, which literally means goods days for good morning? Well, in this case, it's just because the Spanish language chose to use the word days instead of mornings. The word for morning is, of course, mañana, but we don't say buenas mañanas. Why did they decide to use the plural form of all these, like días and tardes and noches, instead of just día, tarde y noche? I don't know why either. It's just the way it is, and this is an important lesson that you need to get used to on your Spanish learning journey. There are going to be things in learning any language that just don't seem to make sense, and you just have to roll with that. You have to open your mind and get used to the fact that it's not the same as it is in your own language. So for good morning, we say buenos días. Buenos días. We add an S, make it plural to the end of the buenos as well, because in Spanish, whenever there is a plural noun, like días in this case, the adjective bueno must also be plural. So it's buenos días. So that makes buenas tardes and buenas noches a little bit more self-explanatory, right? We're basically saying goods afternoons and goods evenings or goods nights. One other advanced grammatical point that you might have noticed here is that it's buenos días and then buenas tardes and buenas noches. The reason is because in Spanish, when you have a masculine noun, you have to have a masculine adjective, and then when you have a feminine noun, you have to have a feminine adjective. So O is typically used for masculinity, and A is typically used for femininity at the end of words. So in this case, for some reason, once again, you just have to get used to these little things, día or días is masculine. Even though it doesn't sound like it, it is masculine. So for buenos días, we're using the masculine adjective buenos, whereas for tardes and noches, those are both feminine words, so we're saying buenas tardes and buenas noches. In this greeting, just like hola, you can use buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches in basically any situation. Obviously, get the right one. You don't want to be saying buenas noches when it's the morning, but get the right one and you can use it in basically any situation. The third one is ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás, amigo? ¿Cómo estás, amiga? It just means how are you, and you can use it the same exact way we use it in English. You can also put the name of the person or the person's relation to you after the word. ¿Cómo estás, Miguel? ¿Cómo estás, Andrea? ¿Cómo estás, papá? ¿Cómo estás, mamá? ¿Cómo estás, amigo? ¿Cómo estás, amiga? Etc., etc. Where this gets a little bit more complex than in English is in Spanish. There are 2 other things that I want to teach you, which are ¿Cómo está? And ¿Cómo están? Instead of ¿Cómo estás? So ¿Cómo estás? Is the greeting you would use if you want to say how are you to any friend or anyone in an informal situation. ¿Cómo está? Without the final S at the end can be used if you're speaking to someone in a more formal situation, a person that you don't know, or a person who is a little bit older than you or of a higher authority than you. This is the formal usted version of Spanish. ¿Cómo está usted? If you're not familiar with the tú versus usted forms of saying you in Spanish yet, you'll certainly learn it very quickly, and it's not something that's going to make or break your Spanish, so don't worry too much if you end up using the tú forms of verb conjugations instead of usted or vice versa. Cómo está is also used to ask how is a separate person doing, like how is he doing or how is she doing. ¿Cómo está? ¿Cómo está él? ¿Cómo está ella? And then there's ¿cómo están? ¿Cómo están means how are you guys, plural, doing. It could also mean how are they doing. Now we could get into ¿cómo estáis, which is used in Spain to say how are you, plural, but I don't want to confuse you guys. It's not a big deal unless you're going to Spain within the next couple weeks. Don't worry about it too much. So anyway, in basically all Latin American Spanish-speaking countries, ¿cómo están is the way to say how are you, plural. How are you guys? How are y'all? Etc., etc. So ¿cómo estás is the way you'd say how are you to a friend. ¿Cómo está is the way you say how are you to a person in a more formal situation. And ¿cómo están is the way you'd say how are you all. And these are, once again, you can use it in any situation basically. And I'm telling you, guys and ladies, if you're out there looking for a beautiful señorita or a Latin lover like I mentioned, ¿cómo estás can be one of the best pickup lines out there. Nothing fancy at all, just ¿cómo estás? Maybe begin with an hola, I don't know. Hola, ¿cómo estás? And boom, just like that. The fourth and final one is ¿qué tal? ¿Qué tal, amigo? ¿Qué tal, amiga? ¿Qué tal, papá? ¿Qué tal, mamá? ¿Qué tal, hermano? ¿Qué tal is basically the Spanish equivalent of what's up. It is probably a little bit less formal than these other greetings, just like what's up is a little bit less formal in English, right? But ¿qué tal can be used in basically all situations as well. And the other interesting thing about it is it can also be used to say how is something or how is something going. So we might say ¿qué tal tu trabajo? How is your job or how is work going? ¿Qué tal la fiesta? How's the party? ¿Qué tal la música? ¿Qué tal el ambiente? So let's recap those four basic greetings. Hola, buenos días, or buenas tardes, buenas noches. ¿Cómo estás? Or ¿cómo está? ¿Cómo están? ¿Qué tal? That's it for this week's video, folks. Drop a thumbs up down below if you liked it. Leave a comment down below as well. Hit that subscribe button to get notified when the next video comes up. Check out Spanish55.com for Skype tutoring lessons in Spanish online. And if we don't see you guys in the next video, I'll just assume that you're out there dominating the Spanish-speaking world with these four beautiful greetings. Hasta pronto, chicos.